to the MMA Shark podcast, everyone. This is not just a normal MMA betting talk podcast. This is not a normal MMA Shark podcast because I am joined by my biggest guest ever. You know him as the number 6 ranked UFC welterweight in the world. You also know him as the nicest guy in MMA, but don't be fooled because he is one of the greatest strikers of all time. None other than Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Stephen, thank you for being on the show today. How are you doing?
Doing great, and it's an honor. I'm glad that you invited me on the show. So thank you very much for having me.
Oh, I couldn't be more excited. When one of your favorite fighters for the last decade is on the podcast, that's how I know the MMA Shark's making it. So
let's go. Well, dude, you just made my day, man. Pleasure is all mine.
Good. We'll get into how enamored me and a large amount of my fan base is with you in a minute. But so obviously December 3rd was an incredible night for you, right?
Yes. Huge.
I'll tell you what, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. I have been to so many live UFC events. I have never heard an arena so loud than was the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida on December 3rd. That was, there was 2 specific fights that night that I literally felt like I was at the Super Bowl. I was at World Series Game 7. And one was the Phil Rowe versus Nico Price fight. You had the 2 hometown kids fighting each other. Phil being a very good friend of mine. So I'm kind of glad the fight went that way. And of course, you versus Holland. I mean, that place erupted. It was louder than any main event I've heard in Vegas. It was louder than MMA events I've seen in Brazil. What made that fight so big?
I think the excitement around, me and Kevin Holland. Number one, it was a fight night card, which it should have been a pay-per-view card. It was stacked. I mean, there were so many guys, high-level guys, big names, exciting fighters on the card. I mean, you had lightweights to heavyweights to welterweights. It was just a slew of just dynamic fighting that night.
Right.
But I think it was just, I think Florida, Orlando was just glad to have the UFC back.
Yeah.
Because we have been doing the Apex for so long, for the past 3 years. And I'm glad that I was able to actually main event this event because my last few have been at the Apex.
Right.
And it's just not the same. It's just not the same. When you got the crowd out there going crazy, just the energy level's different, when the crowd can be there. Just the energy throughout the entire fight week was just awesome. But I think everybody knew that me and Kevin, we didn't have any beef. We were just going to go out there as friends, put on a good show, and everybody knew that we were going to bring it, that every time we step out there, we're going to give it our all, and we did. And I went back and watched that fight. There was one other fight that I had where I think the crowd was maybe just as loud, and that was the UFC 205 when I fought Tyron Woodley the first time.
The Woodley draw?
Oh, my goodness. But Orlando was it was epic, man.
It was nuts.
It was epic.
Isn't it ironic? 2 guys that had no beef and ultimate respect for each other put on the fight of the year in the 12th month of the year. I mean, nothing will change my mind. That was the fight of the year.
Thank you.
You faced some early adversity, caught you clean in the first round. I wouldn't say you're wobbled, but he got your attention. And It seemed like in that fight, as it progressed, you got 3 years younger per round. You were 21-year-old Stephen Woodley, Stephen Thompson by the 4th round in that fight, and it was just nuts. And when the low blow hit and the ref went like this, we all thought it was over. And I started going to the escalators to beat traffic. I got a text from one of the guys I was with, not over. And I turn around and I see like 5,000 people coming down. So I was in the parking lot when the fight was actually over, when he didn't get off the stool. So absolutely well done. 2 other things about that fight. One, do you look at the betting lines? Do you take them into consideration at all? You were a plus 155 underdog in that fight.
That was one of the things, everybody asked me that a lot. Does it really change your mindset a little bit, affect your mindset, knowing that people had you losing or winning in a fight. And to be honest with you, I didn't even check it. Whenever I fight, I don't even look at it. I don't even look at it. It's just one of those things that, I've been the underdog before.
Mm-hmm.
And
And you've cashed at it at 75%.
let's go. uh, Hopefully we made some guys some money that night. You know what I mean? Hopefully we
No,
made some
I'm going
people
to
some
tell
money.
you a little bit about that. So obviously on my end of the MMA is MMA handicapping. I handicap anything from UFC, Bellator, PFL, Cage Warriors, LFA, which I'm very involved in. And my max underdog play on the UFC Orlando card was you to win the fight at plus 155. So I sent that out to 300 and some people before the event. And we did a thing. It was called an MMA Shark Takeover, where I do a contest, and I pick 12 people that are subscribed to me, from my OGs, from my original people that have been signed up with me since day one. So we all met up in Orlando for your fight, and I did special shirts. They said UFC Orlando, and on the back it said the MMAshark.com, cash them all. So I have all these dudes sitting behind us. We had great seats. We were 50-yard line, as you would say, for UFC. And we were the second row from the top in the section. We were in Phil Rowe's section. So there's a bunch of people behind us going, hey, that shirt, cash them all. What do you do? I said, I'm an MMA handicapper. So he said, who's going to win this main event tonight? And I said, Wonderboy by a mile. He goes, are you sure? I said, yeah, not thinking what he's going to do. So I turned around and he shows me his phone. He goes, good, I just put $15,000 on him. I'm like, dude, I'm sitting in front of
No way.
Yeah, I'm going, dude, I'm sitting in front of you. If something goes sour, I did not tell you to do that. But if it wins, I told you to do that. So
Yeah. Dude, 15 grand.
Yeah, nuts.
Wow.
And, I never, and maybe he's wealthy enough that it didn't matter to him, but that amount scared the hell out of me. But
I didn't realize that it was so big, to be honest with you.
Oh, it's huge. It's very big.
Now,
MMA.
do you try to bet on other cards? I mean, pretty much every fight card. I know you're a big MMA fan.
Oh yeah,
Or
like
is it
tomorrow
just
night.
MMA?
Oh yeah, like tomorrow night I'll have plays on PFL Challenger Series from Orlando. I'll have plays on LFA tomorrow night, and then Saturday, of course, we've got UFC 284. So, I had a losing night last week. Last Saturday.
Man.
Well, the Louis Spivak card, the 1 a.m. main card start was killer. I was smoked by the end of it. We were doing Bellator prior to it, and Bellator started off really bad. There was a couple of robberies and bad beats, but then the main card, we got it almost all back. UFC prelims were hot, and then the main card, I had Derek Lewis, and I don't know why I had Derek Lewis. He's just blacklisted. I'm never picking Derek Lewis again. So
I thought he was going to come out even harder. I mean, he lost some weight. He looked good. We thought he refound himself, but that's 3 in a row. So, I mean, I don't think Dana's going to cut him just because he's a big draw.
No, there's no way. He's still marketable, but he's not bettable. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, the MMA Shark Invasion, the UFC Orlando card on the 3rd, we mentioned how crazy the atmosphere was. I mean, an East Coast card that ended at 1:45 a.m. That doesn't really happen.
Yeah. Now, were you a little nervous when I got smoked in the first round, though?
No, I don't know. Put it this way: going into that fight, I knew you were knocked out one time by Anthony Pettis, and I remember your comment. That wasn't so bad. That's going to make me a better fighter. And you remember the press conference after it or day after it. You literally said, "I'm kind of glad that happened." So I'm thinking, Wonderboy's got enough. Like, I don't know. It's like going after a kangaroo with the way you kick. You get too close, you're going to get a heel to the back of the head, or it played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out. So
there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that a lot of people that do take shots like that and want to return immediately, just to show the UFC and the fans that I'm better than what the other night, and they come back too soon. They don't give themselves time to heal up. And they get knocked out again, and then that's how they lose their chin. They don't give themselves proper time to heal up. So anytime that I get rocked, or when Kevin rocked me in that first round, I still took some weeks off, made sure everything was okay. But it was one of those things where, though, I've been in that situation before, and I knew how to fight out of it. Like when I fought Jake Ellenberger, he did the
Right.
same thing,
Oh, yeah.
smoked me in the first round.
Yeah.
And I literally did the exact same thing I did with Ellenberger that I did with Kevin. I would have my back up against the cage and I switched sides in the pocket. And I was
Okay.
like, why did I do that? And then he just smoked me with the right
Set
hand.
yourself up for it.
Yes. But thank goodness I was blessed with a hard head and continued.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, and honestly, I had a feeling, Holland comes on strong. We knew you were going to
Yeah.
take some shots in it. You kind of had the Halloween costume, fake stitch, but it was real by the end of that. You got some scars there, but well worth it. I mean, fight of the night was 100%. Fight of the year. That's how I scored it. So coming out to that card, another really special thing. We spent the week in Orlando. We were down Orlando for like 8 to 10 days. We spent a lot of time in Orlando. But my oldest son, who is 15 years old, loves watching you fight. So he was like, 3 months out when the fight was announced, he's like, why don't we go to Orlando and do your MMA Shark takeover for the Wonderboy fight? I'd love to see him fight in person. That's kind of what gave me the idea. So, we had people flying all over the country for this. So seeing that my son, his first main event, it was his 15th birthday as of midnight. So your fight was on his birthday of 12/4. He turned 15. He was just enamored by the fight. But this is a true story. It's kind of insane how this panned out. I had a couple meetings yesterday, and I was driving home from work at about 3 o'clock. And my son, he's a very good baseball player, prominent baseball player, 15 years old. He's a freshman in high school, and he decided to join wrestling this year. And as a freshman to join high school wrestling, I was kind of like, it's kind of nuts. He's 130 pounds. He's skinny. He's a baseball player. And his little brother, I have 5 sons, 4 of which wrestle now. The only one that doesn't is the baby because he's 1. So my 15-year-old that was at your fight wrestled, and he had a pretty good season, actually. He started off like 3-1. He's probably somewhere around 7-5. But the Wyoming Valley Conference Championships are this weekend. And he would have had to win a wrestle off against a much higher level of competition yesterday at practice to qualify for the tournaments at his weight of 138. And my wife called me and goes, he won. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, he texted her and said, I listened to Wonderboy by Black's Tenacious D and just said, I'm going to kill this kid.
Yes. No way.
I'm like, when I tell Wonderboy that Tyler did that, he's going to be like, are you like, some of the best stories are true. And this is a true story that literally happened yesterday. So my son literally listened to that song with his AirPods in and went out and won the match and qualified for the Wyoming Valley Conference Championship this weekend.
Man, that is the coolest. That is the coolest story ever. Well, tell him that I said congratulations.
You can tell him yourself. His name's Tyler.
Tyler T Money, you are the man. I appreciate it for walking out and listening and having Tenacious D just energize you to go out there and do work, baby. So keep up the good work and stay on that grind, my friend.
I didn't even know he knew what Tenacious D was. I'm not going to lie.
I didn't either. Like, not a whole lot of people do. I don't realize it, but it's one of those songs that doesn't fire you up. Like it doesn't, it's not like a hard rock and roll, you know what I mean? But it puts a smile on my face. And every time I hear that song now, and it might be because he was the one that went to the fight, right?
Yeah, he was with me.
Brings back that old memory of me walking out to the cage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So every time I hear that song,
storm for him. You're one of his favorite fighters, and he turned like the clock struck midnight. It was his birthday, so I posted to my Facebook right at midnight. What a way to ring in your birthday! Have a year, kid. Let's go, Wonderboy. And then your fight started at like 1 a.m. and the song, So,
man, that's awesome.
The song,
I'm going out there and kill this kid.
I get yeah, that's what he texted my wife. He said, I listened to Wonderboy by Black's Tenacious D and said, I'm going to kill this kid. And by the way, he didn't kill the kid. He won 7-6, but he won the match. So,
he won the match.
So
that's what all that matters, baby.
Yeah, it was so cool. So what is your connection to Jack Black? Everyone saw the reaction video go viral of your win. He was supposed to be there in Orlando. I guess he couldn't make it.
Yes. So I've always walked out Tenacious D since I've been in the UFC. And before that, my entire kickboxing career, it was let the bodies hit the floor.
Right.
So I wanted something new. I wanted something different. for the UFC. And I wanted it something that was iconic. Like whenever they heard that song, that's what they thought of. So my brothers, we were big Jack Black fans, you know, Pick a Destiny, all the Jack Black movies. We were huge fans. And my brothers have always wanted me to walk out to Tenacious D. Well, growing up, you know, I grew up with watching world champions. My dad was training world champions, and they always walked out to something that was just you know, fired you up. You know, it's rock and roll. You know,
Talk about the rival.
yeah, you know. So I was kind of hesitant, and then I put it out there on social media, asking the fans what I should walk out to, and literally 99.9% of the people out there was Wonderboy by Tenacious D. So I'm like, all right, it's happening. So for years, I've been trying to get Jack Black's attention, and maybe either
You were trying to get his attention?
Trying to get his
Dude,
attention.
he needs to be trying to get your attention.
Well, he did. He did. It was over this summer. We were at International Fight Week, me and my brother, Sweet Tea. And before the main event, there was a guy up there, one of the photographers for the UFC, was like, Stephen, I need to talk to you. I'm like, okay. He's like, after the fight, Jack Black wants to talk to you. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So after the fight, he also photographs and videos. He's a social media guy for Jack Black and the whole Tenacious D team. So he ended up getting Jack Black up on the card or up on the phone, and we ended up chatting. He saw one of my previous fights, which was really cool, and went live watching the fight. He's like, here's this guy walking out to my song. His name's Wonderboy. So he wanted me out to one of his concerts here in North Carolina. Well, North Carolina. I'm living in South Carolina.
Right.
So we drove up. We literally spent the entire day with Jack Black and KG for the concert. Before we got to go backstage. We got to hang out and have dinner with them afterwards. They're the coolest guys ever. It's awesome. Like they're the same people you see on TV. Like that's who they are.
Right.
So he was supposed to come to Orlando, but he was still on tour. So he was like, look, we want to be there. I don't want to give you a final yes, but and then leading up to the fight, he's like, look, we got booked. We have to be somewhere that weekend, but we'll be watching. So he ended up watching the fight. So
and the whole world knew he was watching.
Yeah, man, he went live and it was so cool. He's the coolest guy ever. You actually remind me of him.
Oh, great.
You do. I don't know if it's the beard. It might be the beard. The power of the beard, which is crazy because I saw some statistics on people that wear beards. I think it was with the slap fighting that you see in the UFC now. How it takes like 30% off of anybody's strike.
Okay, yeah, a little bit of that there.
Yeah, a little cushion there, you know.
Do you watch the slap fight, the power slap?
I only watch the highlights. I've never watched a full thing. To be honest with you, I think it's super dangerous.
I hate it.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's really dangerous. And it's just sitting here, people just getting knocked out. That's it.
Yeah. You know, you see the guy's face out to here and he's like, oh, I won the fight. I'm like, you won the fight, but you just had a stroke.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, you got knocked down like how every time you get knocked down like that, that's a concussion.
You see the whole face just no, I can't do it. Last night I tuned in for like 5 minutes. I was finishing up another podcast and I saw they were in the house and they gave them unlimited alcohol and a fight broke out. And I'm like, yeah, really? So yeah, just an article came out today that betting lines will be available on Power Slap coming this spring. I promise I will never put a betting line out on Power Slap.
I'm just not a fan. Like the highlights are kind of fun to watch, but it's dangerous.
You see the one of the girl that got knocked out and like did a cartwheel forward?
Yeah, like fell on her face.
Like an involuntary movement. It was terrible. So
golly, I don't see how people do it or why they would want to do it.
Terrible. So obviously, upstate karate, huge part of your life. Your father, Ray Thompson's been training you since you were 3 years old. Yes. And now you're training a lot of kids in karate?
I am. I've been doing this.
How many students do you have?
I've been doing this since I was I started helping out in classes at age 12.
Okay.
And this was, years ago, obviously. But then I was just a helper. And one of our instructors, I think he had a family issue, and he had to quit and go back home and take care of his family. So we didn't have a head instructor. I was about 15 years old. So my dad was like, all right, Stephen, time to take the bull by the horns, my man.
You're just starting your kickboxing career at that age.
Exactly. And started teaching. And to be honest with you, I did not become the fighter I am today if it wasn't because of that move.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Because of teaching, having to understand it, having to break down the technique and having to understand it more made me the fighter that I am today. So, I teach guys. It's funny. The other day, one of my old students came in. He's like, "Hey, Wonder Boy, do you recognize me?" And I was like, "You look familiar." And it took me a second, and I was like, "Nicholas Kloiber." And he was like, "Yeah, man." When he was like 17, 18 years old, I taught him when he was like 5 or 6, all the way up to a junior black belt. And it's crazy how, and this is why I do it, just to be able to see and be a small part of this person's life and to be an influence in their life,
Right.
and for them to come back and say, thank you for everything.
That's
just,
huge.
that's why I do it.
That's when you know you've done everything right. Let's talk about a fighter that you're currently training and who is just really making a name for himself right now. And that's John Sweeney, 27 years old. He won 6 straight. He's 12-3. Just had a huge win on LFA when he knocked off Ari Farias. I know your dad was there to corner him. You were unable to make it, but I knew you had confidence in him going to this fight. So is he one of the few fighters that are training for combat with you right now?
We have several fighters. He is one of the few. We have another guy, Weston Wilson, but we have another guy, or he's one of the few that are just right there on the nick of making it.
Sweeney is so right there.
I mean, I don't understand why the UFC hasn't had this guy. Number one, he's exciting. 2, I mean, even outside of
the Hollywood.
Cage, he is Hollywood.
He really is
knows
Hollywood.
How to hype the fight up, right?
Yeah.
For me to do that, I don't think so. I couldn't do that. I could not talk trash, if the world came to an end. Like I couldn't do it. But my man Hollywood, he's another one of those kids who's been training with since he was in high school. To be able to watch this guy grow and to see him be the fighter that he is today and the man that he is today, and knowing that I had a part in that, it means the world to me, man. I always have confidence in this guy going out there and with anybody who he faces, because he brings it. This guy brings it all.
Absolutely. He was a plus 230 underdog. We smashed that. We smashed
Crushed it.
I said Farias is not knocking him out. So fighters reach out to me all the time to see if I want to sponsor them. And I have a really hard time saying yes. I normally try to make something work. I actually reached out to Sweeney and said, hey, man, I want to sponsor you for this fight. He's like, oh, that'd be awesome, man. And we talked, and literally, because I knew he was one of your students, and, that I'd be, I said, I've known him a while. We've chatted. I said, I know he's going to represent my company well. I said, yeah, let's do it. And had shirts out to him, logos, everything. And he represents the company. He walked out in the MMA Shark shirt, and he's going like this to the shirt. And he's going like this to the shirt. I'm like, I love this kid, not because he's awesome with you, but he's Hollywood, he's marketable, and and if they don't give him a fight soon, he's probably one fight away. So
he's got to be. I mean, I keep encouraging him. I wasn't 28, 29 when I first got into the UFC. I was like, look, man, you got plenty of time, for the experience that he has now, especially when it comes to the MMA. My first fight MMA was I was 28 years old. My very first fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I was kind of rushed into it, but he's got the experience leading up. He's got a ton of fights, ton of wins, and against some really high level guys. Yes.
LFA was building Ari Farias to be the submission jiu-jitsu king, and Sweeney just shut that down throughout the whole fight. So man, I wish we parlayed Sweeney and Wonderboy. That would have been a hell of a payout.
Oh man, I know.
Yeah, they want to keep making you guys underdogs. We'll keep cashing it plus money.
That's right.
So Saturday, big day in the life of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And if I wasn't a little congested, a little hoarse from the Northeast cold, I'd sing to you. But happy 40th birthday in advance for this Saturday.
Thank you, man. Big 4-0.
Big 4-0 is here.
I don't feel like it. I feel like
you don't fight like it. I mean,
I feel like I'm watching. I think it's a mindset too. I think it's a mindset, and staying active, staying healthy. I think if it wasn't for the fight game or just being a martial artist, maybe I wouldn't look the same, because there are guys I went to high school with who are younger than me, but they look way older than me.
Yeah, same.
But it's it's training every day. Putting the right stuff in your body. Staying hydrated. It's what it's all about, baby. It's what it's all about. Which is why I'm still doing what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, and there's no end in sight. It's funny that you said, there's people that don't look their age. I'm 38. I was watching UFC last Saturday night, and I was watching the Marcin Tybura versus Blagoy Ivanov fight, and they said Blagoy Ivanov was 36, and I'm going, oh my God, he looked like he was like 53. So
yeah, I know.
I'm going, maybe I got a couple pounds on me, but if that dude's 2 years younger than me, I'm doing all right. So
that's right.
I think you're 4 years older, and heavyweight is less wear and tear on your body. You're not cutting weight, but Blagoy Ivanov, he's not a very volume fighter, but when he said he was 35 or 36, I damn near fell off the couch. So
same thing with Jose Aldo. I thought he was a lot older than what he was too.
He peaked when he was like 25. That's crazy.
I know, man. I mean, when you're in the game for that long, and it definitely takes some years off of your life. That's for sure.
There's no doubt, and it's a game that you've been in for a while. 57-0 kickboxing. You're now in your 11th year in the UFC, and I just feel like you don't age, and you get younger as fights progress. So, in a very stacked division right now,
yes.
I thought it was going to be you versus Masvidal too. I was excited for that. I literally felt like we were a day or two from that being announced.
I was waiting for this. This is something that Masvidal has even mentioned, but he's still fighting the top guys. He's still one of the most popular guys in the UFC after that. Those wins that he had against Darren Till and of course Ben Askren. He marketed himself well.
I can't watch the Ben Askren one anymore, though. I mean, it's the most overplayed 5 seconds ever. Ben Askren comes in like this, like, come on, honey.
I know. Just let me duck my head for you and try to shoot it for your legs while you need me in the face, right?
So a stacked division. I legitimately, when they said big announcement coming tomorrow with Masvidal, I said he's fighting Wonderboy. He's gonna get killed. He's fighting Wonderboy. Didn't come into fruition. When do you plan on stepping back in there? I know take a little rest after the last fight, and who do you think it will be against?
To be honest, I don't know. There's a lot of guys that had some scheduled fights coming up who I'm looking at very much. I mean, you have, of course, Jeff Neal, somebody that I've already faced, fighting off against Shavkat, who is an up-and-comer, undefeated welterweight.
He's a killer.
Yeah, he is a killer and good everywhere. He's got good striking. He just submitted, I think it was Neil Magny. Yeah, Neil Magny.
And Burns followed it up by doing the same thing.
The exact same thing. I knew that was going to happen. Yeah, I know. And then they give him Masvidal, who, man, I mean, I never want to take Masvidal lightly.
No.
But he hasn't fought in such a long time. But anytime he fights a good grappler, I mean, he doesn't win him. He's fought Maya, he's fought Colby, he's fought Usman.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got somebody as strong as Gilbert. Gilbert is strong. When I faced off against him, there was a few times that I chuckled during that fight. One was when we were both punching each other in the face. I don't know if you saw that. He had me down and was just kind of pecking me. I was like, they don't hurt, so why block it? I'm just going to punch him back. So we were just punching each other in the face. And the second time was when he took me down and I was working my way back up. He had a hold of my legs, but he literally forced me down with his neck.
Yeah, he's strong.
Shoved me down with his neck. And I chuckled. I was like, bro, how is your neck so strong right now? He's a muscle. It's just a little short muscle. He's a
favorite fighter too. Everyone loves him. I don't know. Is Sean Brady maybe the next potential matchup?
Sean Brady, I mean, that could be a possibility. There's so many guys right now that
Phil Rowe be a possibility, because I'd have a hard time watching it.
Who?
Phil Rowe. I'd have a hard time watching it.
Oh man, I would too, to be honest with you. But you got some really good up and coming guys, and I'm still looking for the title. But I don't mind having some fun along the way. So it could be anybody. So I'm keeping my eye on all those guys.
And what are you thinking as far as time frame? By spring, summer, fall?
Yeah, so I'm thinking either May or June.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's the plan. Get
Great.
back into it. I just started back sparring now. I ended up breaking my hand. I don't know if you noticed, but Kevin's got a fight coming up too.
Kevin
Holland.
Oh, Holland, yeah, he does.
And his hands, I swear, he's going to end up breaking his hand again. I don't think it's fully healed up.
Yeah.
I
So
saw it on the podcast. It still looks kind of ugly. So
yeah, I made a post when he retired, and it said Kevin Holland retires from MMA. He's already in the cage because he's literally, he'll fight whenever. I did see that he had a fight announcement coming up. I didn't even see who it was against. I've been so busy handicapping cards.
I'm trying to think. I don't remember who it is.
Yeah, no, me either. Is it Vittori? No. Yeah, I really don't remember. But yeah.
It's Ponzinibbio.
It is Santiago Ponzinibbio. That's a good fight.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one. I think I won. If he doesn't break his hand in there, I think
that fight.
Definitely win it. Yeah.
Yeah. Ponzinibbio did not look good in his last fight. Alex Morono took it on 2 days' notice, and Morono was really teeing him up and having his way with him, but gassed. And if you gas against Santiago Ponzinibbio, you're going to sleep and ultimately come by knockout. So that's great. I just want to give everyone that's viewing this a reminder. This show is driven by www.themmashark.com. That's me. Check it out at www.themmashark.com. Sign up for my personal picks. They get texted to you when they get released. I'm running off a promotion right now, half off for everyone, your first month. So get your first month for like $55. Check it out online and start cashing tickets with me. We were 508 units since January of 2022. So very consistent results. That's what I do for a living. So been very profitable. We have losing nights. We have losing months. Last August was a losing month. I just couldn't get moving in August, but we have not had a losing month since August. So, it's fun. It's edge of your seat stuff. I put my subscribers in some very uncomfortable positions. We had a big play on over 2.5. Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy. I don't know if you watched that fight 2 pay-per-views ago.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell that went over 2.5, but
I know, right?
I don't think any of us were breathing for 2.5 minutes or 12.5 minutes. I'm sorry.
I love it.
So again, massive respect to you, your father, Ray Thompson, all you guys have done. Upstate Karate being so successful. I didn't realize you were related to Chris Weidman. That's awesome through marriage. I see he's looking to mount a comeback at 205.
Yeah. He, I don't know, maybe 205. I know he's got a grappling tournament coming up.
Maybe 185.
So it's kind of a way for him to jump back out there and compete, get back into it. It's been out for a while. So he's got a grappling tournament coming up, a high level. He's facing off against one of the top guys at, I think 205. So going to test out the water, see how his leg does. And he's still training. He's a long life martial artist. So
he's young.
David. Yeah, he is. I mean, he's younger than I am. And I think he wants to come back and step out in the cage again. And I told him, look, man, I'll always be there for you, buddy. So my brother married Chris Weidman's sister.
Right.
So I consider him my brother-in-law. I mean, we're the ones that made it happen. We're related. So
absolutely. And have you seen GSP? Have you been doing any training with GSP lately?
Nothing. I haven't done any training, but we have talked and sat with each other, spent some time with each other with another organization called Karate Combat.
Okay.
Which is a new up and coming striking extravaganza, man. This thing is awesome. No grappling, stand up only. It's called Karate Combat. I recommend checking it out. Super cool. Yeah. So he's one of the ambassadors for that, and I was as well. So we got to spend some time and catch up.
That's awesome, guys. Make sure you check out Karate Combat.
Yeah, me, GSP, and Boss Rutan.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I'm checking it out when we're done with this.
There you go. Check it out. It's really cool. And Boss is the funniest guy you've ever met in your life. Yeah. My goodness.
Oh yeah, he is.
The stories that he has from when he was back in the Pride days in Japan, ridiculous. That guy's, he should write a book.
No, that's awesome. Anyone else you'd like to shout out? Anything else we need to know about what's going on in the life of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson? The stage is yours.
Well, I'm healing up. Hopefully you guys will see me back in either May or June. I want to thank you, the MMA Shark, for having me on. I appreciate it. And dude, let me know. We can do it again, man. Would love to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, meeting your brother Tony and emailing back and forth, he's phenomenal.
Thank you.
And you know, your fighters are fighting, they want to sponsor. I'm a phone call away. So
you are the man. You are the man.
Likewise, biggest guest I've ever had on the MMA Shark podcast, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. This will be tough to match. I may never match this, but I'll be able to say I did it. And you know, the Tyler story from yesterday with my wife, that was just like so perfectly timed. I couldn't believe going, yeah, he just said he was going to send it and listen to Wonderboy. Like,
let's go, man. Yes. Tell him I said congratulations, brother.
One last thing. Who do you got? Islam Makhachev or Volk this Saturday night?
Oh, man. I did actually for the YouTube channel, I did a breakdown of his striking. Now,
both striking, obviously.
On paper, yeah. On paper, I have Islam winning, but Volkanovski's striking, and he's a shorter fighter, but he's had experience fighting at 205, 185. They say he's ridiculously strong.
He is.
I think he's fast enough. I think he can defend the takedown. It could go either way, but on paper, I'm kind of leaning toward Makhachev. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't be surprised if Volkanovski could get a win. I think he can. He's quick. You know, he's very fast. He's good in the pocket. He's got a lot better movement than Makhachev has.
Oh, absolutely.
But the thing is, he's got to keep the fight standing. Got to keep the fight standing.
Here's my two takes as a handicapper, and I'll be completely honest. I don't know who I'm on yet. Max Holloway and Islam Makhachev, same height. So everyone's saying, you know, he's so much taller, he's not going to be able to hit him. That's incredibly not true.
Right.
Comparing the mounted guillotine that he was in versus Brian Ortega and comparing a mounted guillotine you're in for Makhachev is no comparison.
Makhachev all day.
Stronger. You know, if he gets a hold of Volk and throws him to the ground, he could have his way with him and submit him. But at the same token, I can see Volk landing some big strikes and being able to clip him. We're going to see how that goes. I'm still breaking it down. Get to see them weigh in tomorrow and take it from there. But I like your assessment on that fight. Some big fights this weekend. So
yes, looking forward to it. I'll be checking them out.
Absolutely. Well, I can only hope we can get to do this again. I thank you so much for your time. And as always, it's been a pleasure. And we wish you nothing but the best between now and your next fight. Don't be a stranger. Check us out, www.themmashark.com. Check out your new combat gig with GSP and Baz Rutin. And check out, guys, you know, if you're in South Carolina and your kids want somewhere to train, keep them active. Send them to Upstate Karate. There's not enough.
You got it, man. Business. Shouting us out. I love it.
Let's do it. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
You're welcome, buddy.